In a major escalation tonight, the Attorney General of Arizona and Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva of Arizona are suing Mike Johnson. And they're suing him because Grijalva has not been sworn in. So what does all this have to do with Jeffrey Epstein? Because it does at its heart. Grijalva is the final vote needed for a bipartisan maneuver called a discharge petition that goes around Johnson. Because he does not want a vote to release the full Epstein files. This would go around him, get that vote to release the files.
Señores, esto es una completa locura. MAGA Mike Johnson acaba de ser demandado por negarse a juramentar a una congresista demócrata de Arizona. Y todo apunta a que lo está haciendo para evitar que se revelen los archivos de Epstein. Así es. Los republicanos están bloqueando a una congresista electa solo para que no se conozca la verdad detrás de los archivos de Epstein. Bueno amigos, resulta que mientras el Congreso de los Estados Unidos cerraba otra jornada sin resolver absolutamente nada, Adelita Grijalva, congresista electa demócrata por el Distrito 7 de Arizona, presentó junto con la fiscal general del estado, que es Chris Mage, una demanda federal contra nada más y nada menos que MAGA Mike Johnson y la Cámara de Representantes. La razón simple: Mike Johnson se niega a juramentarla. Así de simple. Y ojo que no es tecnicismo, no es una formalidad. Hablamos de una violación directa al proceso democrático. El argumento bastante claro. Adelita Grijalva fue elegida ya casi un mes, cumple con todos los requisitos constitucionales, pero claro, los republicanos liderados por MAGA Mike Johnson no quieren que su firma sea la número 218 en una moción que podría finalmente liberar los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein. En otras palabras, están bloqueando su entrada al Congreso para proteger los secretos sucios del trumpismo. La fiscal general fue contundente y dijo lo siguiente: esto es imposición de impuestos sin representación. Por eso estamos demandando a la Cámara de Representantes. Escuchemos lo que dijo la fiscal.
Thanks, Jen. Well, basically what we're saying in this lawsuit, and it's really too bad that I had to file it, but we're saying, Mike Johnson, you're violating the law and you're violating the Constitution by refusing to swear in Adelita Grijalva, who was elected to Congress from the 7th District in Arizona now more than 4 weeks ago. And by not swearing her in, he is depriving 813,000 Arizonans of representation. That's called taxation without representation. We fought a revolution war over that. And so we're asking a court to declare that if Mike Johnson refuses to do his job, that a judge can swear her in, and then she would become a fully vested member of Congress, which she should be right now.
Y es que tiene toda la razón, amigos. Estamos hablando de más de 800,000 arizonenses que hoy por hoy están siendo silenciados. ¿Por qué? Porque ya no tienen una voz en el Congreso, pero siguen pagando impuestos. O sea, literalmente es una de las razones por las que Estados Unidos ha tenido una revolución. Grijalva también fue directa. El obstruccionismo de Mike Johnson ha superado los límites del partidismo. Esto es una violación ilegal de la Constitución y del proceso democrático. Y claro que lo es. Mike Johnson ha convertido su cargo en una herramienta para servir al trumpismo. Escuchemos lo que dijo la congresista.
Thank you. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Thank you, Leader Jeffries and Ranking Member Raskin, for the opportunity to speak here. And for, I think this is the 5th time that a member of Congress has tried to get some recognition in order to have me sworn in. Today is day 28 since my election. And I think that it's really important that we appreciate that 812,000 Arizonans do not have representation in Congress. My dad passed away a little over 7 months ago in March. And since that time, the offices were able to provide constituent services. It was the People's Office of Arizona CD7. On September 23rd, those services ended. And so I do not have access to provide services in district. And I think that I also don't have a budget. So this back and forth, coming back and forth, is on my miles that I had stored up because I don't have a budget. I'm not able to open a lease in district. And I think that, the efforts that have been provided to me, and I'm appreciative of the administration's effort, the departments in the administration, they're trying to provide piecemeal solutions to some of the problems that we have. But respectfully, there's so much that cannot be done until I am sworn in. And so every moment that passes that I'm not able to provide constituent services or be a voice for Arizona, I can't bring the issues forward that they sent me here to do. And so while, we're getting a lot of attention for not being sworn in, I'd rather get the attention for doing my job. And I can't do that right now without being sworn in. And it's just notable to continue to mention, there were 2 Republican members that were sworn in less than 24 hours from the date of their special election, April 1st. They were sworn in less than 24 hours, April 2nd, on a pro forma session. It's not unheard of for this speaker to do that. And so I continue to ask for us to have the same opportunity and for the 812,000 people in Arizona that do not have a voice right now to have the opportunity to have me here representing them. Thank you.
Este documento judicial también incluye al sargento de armas, quien actuó bajo las órdenes de Maga Mike para impedir que se realice la juramentación. Es decir, no solo Johnson se niega a cumplir con su deber, sino que también ha ordenado a otros funcionarios para que tampoco lo hagan. Aquí viene una parte que es muy grave. El texto de la demanda explica que si el presidente de la Cámara tuviera ese poder, podría anular la voluntad del pueblo simplemente decidiendo a quién dejar entrar o no al Congreso. Lo más cínico es que el propio Maga Mike admitió que no tiene ninguna estrategia, nada, ni para el cierre del gobierno, ni para el caso de Grijalva, ni para todo el caos que están generando. O sea que mientras 20 millones de estadounidenses están a punto de perder su cobertura médica, el Congreso aprobó $40,000 millones a Argentina y Donald Trump sigue destrozando literalmente la Casa Blanca. Y encima Maga Mike no tiene estrategia. O sea, el tipo no tiene un plan. Pero sí tiene tiempo para bloquear a una congresista electa, ¿no? Escuchen lo que dijo.
The calculus and the strategy on when I bring everybody back, people have said, are you going to change your strategy? And I've said to you all very plainly in good faith, we don't have a political strategy here. I don't have a strategy. We're just trying to do the right thing. We did what has been customary here.
Ok, amigos, la realidad es que Johnson teme a una sola cosa, y es que esta congresista, Adelita Grijalva, se convierta en el voto decisivo para abrir los archivos de Epstein. Así de simple. Eso es todo. No hay otro motivo. Y es tan absurdo que hasta la fiscal tuvo que anticiparse a las mentiras de Johnson en el propio documento judicial, porque él intentó escudarse en el famoso precedente de Pelosi, de Nancy Pelosi, porque en algún momento Pelosi hizo algo similar, pero en una situación completamente distinta. Entonces, en el pie de página de esta demanda, lo destruye. Nunca en la historia alguien se negó a juramentar a un miembro electo solo por razones políticas. Lo que está haciendo Maga Mike no solo afecta a Arizona, es al país entero, porque si esto se permite, cualquier mayoría podría negar la entrada a un representante electo simplemente porque no quieren su voto. Así de simple. O sea, es el equivalente moderno de decir, tu voto no importa. Y eso, más allá del partido político, es algo que debería de alarmar a todos. No se trata solo de Adelita Grijalva. Es de que si se permite que un grupo de extremistas como los MAGA manipulen las instituciones para proteger secretos, para silenciar votantes, para mantener al país en el caos, eso se convierte en peligro, algo muy peligroso. Qué ironía, ¿no, amigos? Brutal. Los mismos que gritan Constitución, libertad, son los que más la violan abiertamente. Ahora bien, amigos, preparen para lo que se viene, porque van a escuchar algo tan descarado que pareciera una broma, pero no lo es. Donald Trump acaba de intentar algo que ni los presidentes más corruptos en la historia se habrían atrevido a hacer. Quiere que el Departamento de Justicia le pague $230 millones con dinero de los contribuyentes por su propio escándalo de los documentos clasificados, los de Mar-a-Lago. Así es, amigos. Trump quiere que tú, que tu vecino y que todos los estadounidenses, con los impuestos, le paguen por haber sido investigado por ocultar documentos secretos del gobierno. Y lo más increíble es que él lo justifica diciendo que fue víctima de una búsqueda injusta, cuando bien sabemos que todos los tribunales ya habían determinado que él estaba en el error. O sea, es tan absurdo que el propio presentador del reportaje que les voy a mostrar lo tuvo que comparar con el Joker, cobrando por haber sido investigado por sus crímenes. Pero bueno, vamos a ver este fragmento de este informe que ha destapado una nueva estafa al estilo trumpista.
President Trump is trying to move over $200 million from taxpayers into his own pocket. It is a blatant grift. It's an ethics scandal, but it actually gets worse in the details of why the president claims that he should be paid out of the federal funds you, of course, pay through your tax dollars. Trump demanding that his own DOJ, which he still oversees, of course, in the cabinet, pay him $230 million from taxpayers. He cites his own conduct that led to past federal investigations as the reasoning. Now, just off top here, no president has ever tried to take money directly for himself from the DOJ like this. Never. The plot comes also as an escalation of a range of profiteering and ethics scandals by Trump himself, as well as his family members. He's insisted on profiteering from his businesses while in office. No other president's done that. And most other presidents have had other jobs or worked at law firms, but they cut that off in office. He has not. He's offered White House access recently to crypto investors. Again, that's not political campaign donors only. It's just people involved in enriching him and his family's crypto funds. His family also trades on his government power across several businesses. It's almost hard to keep track of. So this damning bombshell from the New York Times today comes in this context. It's about the money first, shaking down the government second, a kind of a king attitude of, hey, he is the state is him, even as there is a no kings backlash that we've all been covering. And then basically third, Trump is claiming the reason, because they're still pushing some sort of reason, the taxpayers should pay him, compensate him, is because of his own conduct that led to him being under federal investigation. And by the way, I'm going to make this point briefly and then show you some examples, but other individuals in and out of government have been under investigation. Sometimes you're cleared or there's no trial. Other times you get in trouble. You might recall other presidents have had special counsels. President Clinton was investigated a lot. The notion that you are subject to the rule of law and investigated has never led to massive compensation from the taxpayer. And here's one example that Trump cites. So I'm showing you what he says justifies this, and it is honestly laughable. As a former president, Donald Trump infamously took secret documents back home, lied to the government about having them, basically hid them, dared them to come back and get them, and they did. His unusual actions ultimately led to a federal search which busted him. Remember, he was in the wrong. They found the missing documents. I've got some on the screen to remind you. They were at his Mar-a-Lago property, not exactly a obscure hiding place if you are a former president and people know where you live, but that's where he hid them until the government said, we're taking them back. He was at the time a citizen, a former president. He was in the wrong. The search was proven to be right. Trump, of course, you might recall, was indicted for that. And in all fairness, he was not ultimately put on trial or convicted. The Supreme Court delayed that case, and then, of course, it was dropped when he became president again. That's also the rule of law. He benefited from that. That's okay. But there is no legal doubt about the original misconduct by Donald Trump that led to the search. The search was valid. The search was authorized by an independent judge at the time in advance. It was later upheld. The higher courts never held otherwise. It was a valid search to see if he had stolen secret documents, which he did. I'm reminding you of this in some detail. You might say, okay, Ari, we get it, we remember, but because tonight Trump wants to take your money that you pay your taxes with and take it for himself. And the reason he says is those documents, that he was searched, investigated that way, that the DOJ should compensate him for the valid search where he was in the wrong. Trump is trying to do all this to enrich himself. But he also clearly wants to destroy the traditional, credible independence of the Justice Department. His past attorney general, say in the first term, never signed off on anything like this. It is hard to imagine, say, Attorney General Barr doing it now. But Trump, of course, has moved on to a different type of appointee. He stocked the DOJ with his own criminal defense lawyers, not because they have experience running the prosecution side, they run the defense side, not because they have a ton of DOJ experience, but because they are personally loyal to him in those cases. And now they're the ones that would be compensating him with your money over the cases that they worked on. They're on both sides of this case now, which is an ethical conflict exactly of the type that many, Richard Painter and others, have warned against. The current Attorney General also fired the DOJ's top ethics advisor, one of those many stories that are hard to keep track of, while the department now claims that the ethics advisors at DOJ will be the ones to maybe weigh in or bless this. Again, Trump is trying to take taxpayer money from this DOJ process, your paid money. And he's also made a statement about this that if it's understood to be referencing this situation, this is a misleading statement at best, where he claims that he already has a lawsuit on this and that he's suing himself.
I have a lawsuit that was doing very well, and when I became president, I said, I'm sort of suing myself. I don't know, how do you settle the lawsuit? I'll say, give me X dollars, right? And I don't know what to do with the lawsuit. It's a great lawsuit, and now I won. It sort of looks bad. I'm suing myself, right? So I don't know, but that was a lawsuit that was a very strong.
It went on like that. In Trumpian fashion, he is both demanding something that no president has ever tried. Obviously, it's a type of scandal because plenty of people, whether you like him or his policies or not, don't think the DOJ that he controls should be issuing checks to him. And why stop at 200 million? Why not billions? Why not tens of billions? This happens in other countries. Rachel Maddow, among others, have warned that when countries lose their controls, their checks and balances, one of the first types of abuse is the corruption, kleptocracy, and self-enrichment that officials can benefit from because there's no one there to stop them. Now, it's not clear which DOJ officials would ultimately back this scandal, this quite corrupt request. The Times has reported on the plot, on the process. But if you are a DOJ lawyer, this type of thing could land you under investigation in any future DOJ that would follow or enforce government ethics rules. Trump is also demanding to be paid for basically two sets of probes, the search I mentioned and the 2016 Russia probe. But remember, the idea that DOJ would be ordered to pay Trump for mishandling secret material that led to his search is a kind of a Trump MAGA autocratic era equivalent of Gotham's finest paying the Joker for investigating him. And remember, the Trump Bondi DOJ is also using the same type of classified probe against one of their apparent critics, John Bolton. Trump has attacked him for criticizing him. And so they're not talking about compensating Bolton for the exact same type of secret document search. No, they're grinding on forward because obviously there are two different sets of rules here. And Trump is not hiding that. Like other people who've tried to break the rule of law, he celebrates it. He wants to make it very clear that he should be able to get away with anything and get paid for it, while several other officials are facing official actions from indictments to subpoenas that are, including Bolton there, being targeted by DOJ. Their lawyers, several of them, allege that this is selective prosecution, that it ultimately could be tossed that way. One of the faces you see there was the indicted Democratic Congressman McIver for an interaction outside an ICE facility where similar charges against the mayor of that same area already fell apart. They were withdrawn. She, though, was back in court today in that case. Here's how she describes the Trump DOJ's approach. This was on The Beat.
Anyone who is a critic of this administration and this president who holds this administration accountable, they are targets. They become on Trump's hit list, and then you have them intimidating you, bullying you, charging you, bringing up trumped up charges. I mean, this is real life. This is happening. To be a critic isn't a crime.
This is real life. The Justice Department is one of the most powerful parts of the government, which is why the Constitution and our laws protect against abuse there, because the power to investigate, to search, to arrest, to try, to imprison, and sometimes to take human life, those are some of the greatest powers the government wields. And now it is the DOJ, this Justice Department, that is in the core, the fulcrum of Donald Trump's efforts to break the protections on that, to turn it into a weapon, to use it as a kind of, well, as John Bolton said, a kind of Stalinist police state against his critics. And now tonight, apparently, it is also the next chapter of Donald Trump's efforts to grift, to turn the DOJ, in addition, on the side, into his personal ATM with your taxpayer dollars. I want to bring in, as promised, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Good evening. Your response first to that DOJ story.
Well, the Trump Department of Injustice at this point in time is completely and totally out of control. The Department of Injustice has been weaponized to target Trump critics and adversaries and perceived enemies in ways that undermine the notion of this country as one anchored in the rule of law. And now, of course, as you've pointed out, Donald Trump is trying to use the Department of Injustice as part of his ongoing pay-to-play scheme, the largest that we've seen in the history of the country, and he's doing it without any shame. And it remains to be seen whether anyone within the administration is willing to actually stand up to him at this point in time, which is why we need a Congress to actually conduct itself like a separate and co-equal branch of government, as opposed to what we've seen under House Republicans, which is just a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda.
Would this be a valid use of taxpayer funds, and can Congress do anything about it?
Well, it's a completely and totally invalid use of taxpayer funds. The irony of it all is that the government is shut down right now. It remains shuttered because Donald Trump and Republicans are unwilling to find the resources necessary to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits and prevent tens of millions of people from experiencing dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles. But he has all the time in the world to engage in another grift to enrich himself for a legitimate investigation that occurred under the prior administration. It is definitively illegal. Congress has the power of the purse, and you can't simply transfer $230 million of taxpayer funds because Donald Trump has directed his sycophants within his administration to do.
Y es que es tan grotesco que hasta me cuesta procesarlo. No solo está intentando blanquear su propia corrupción, sino que encima está rompiendo una línea que ningún presidente se habría atrevido a cruzar: pedir dinero directamente del gobierno mientras él controla el mismo gobierno. O sea, él manda sobre el Departamento de Justicia y al mismo tiempo le está exigiendo que le transfieran 230 millones en compensación. O sea, es como si el ladrón le pidiera al juez que lo indemnice por haberlo atrapado robando, ¿no? Lo más cínico es el argumento, porque él dice que el registro en Mar-a-Lago, donde, como bien sabemos, se encontraron esos documentos clasificados que él se llevó ilegalmente, fue una injusticia y que por eso el Estado tiene que compensarlo. Los hechos son claros. La búsqueda fue legal, fue autorizada por un juez, los documentos estaban ahí, escondidos en un baño en su residencia privada. No hay debate sobre eso. Lo que sí hay es una manipulación descarada para convertir su propia falta en una oportunidad de enriquecimiento personal. O sea, esto no es algo solo sobre cuestión ética, ¿no? Señores, si el presidente puede ordenar a su propio Departamento de Justicia que le pague dinero, entonces el Poder Judicial ya no es un árbitro, se convierte en su caja registradora personal. Y esto, por cierto, no solo lo digo yo, hasta exfuncionarios de su primer mandato han advertido que este tipo de maniobras son la puerta a un Estado autoritario y corrupto, donde el líder va a sentarse siempre por encima de la ley. Y si a alguien esto le parece exagerado, basta con mirar los paralelos que han mencionado en este informe. Esto es exactamente lo que pasa en un régimen autoritario, donde los líderes convierten las instituciones en su fuente de ingresos. La gran pregunta es, ¿cuánto más tiene que hacer Trump para que la gente entienda que esto no es política? Esto es corrupción pura y dura. Estamos viendo un presidente que se autoproclama víctima para llenarse los bolsillos, y lo hace mientras destruye la independencia del sistema judicial estadounidense. Pero bueno, los leo en los comentarios. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme en este video. Recuerden, como siempre, déjame tu like, comparte el contenido y suscríbete al canal. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.